Hello guys, welcome to Cloud Guru channel. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about the concept of image templates in Azure. In many circumstances or situation, we have a requirement to build large number of VMs. And when you're building a large number of VMs in your cloud service provider, this is a common problem that you normally face, that how to standardize your build of those thousands and thousands of VMs. In these cases, the concept of the image templates or a standardized OS image template become very important, because it will allow you to standardize your security settings, your softwares which you're installing in the operating system, and making your all of your thousands of VMs completely standardized. So in Azure, we also have the similar concept, which is called image template. So in our today's video, we're going to see that how we can use the concept of image template to build a large number of VM with the standardized software installations as well as the security settings. So as you can see in our Azure portal right now, we have a VM, which is a Linux VM already have built. So as you can see here, we have a VM running up and running in our VNet. So let's go in our Linux called Linux Server 1 is here, and I actually have connected over the public internet to this machine. So first of all, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to install certain software. I'm going to install, let's say, a web server in this machine, and I also install some extensions in this machine, make my machine as a standardized OS image, and then I will convert into a template and then use this template to build more than one additional VMs. So let's go and install first of all our HTTP server, which is web server on this machine. So basically, let's first of all update this machine, and then we're going to install the Apache server. So let's first of all run a complete update on this Linux machine. It will take us some time, so I will actually pause this video and come back once this process is done. So it's already completed. So let's go and now install our Apache software into this machine. So let's go and install this one. So Apache is installed. As you can see, we're installing Apache. So Apache is installed. As you can see, next step, we are going to set the index file. So now we have set up the index file, and then we will start the HTTP services on this machine. So now actually after setting up the index file, actually I just put an inbound rule. As you can see on my screen, I have actually configured an inbound security group rule, which will allow any traffic coming to this IP address of the public IP of the machine with port 80. So after this inbound rule is done, let's try to access our web server, and as you can see, it's working fine, and our web server is up and running on this machine. Now at this stage, I also want to install some other extensions on this machine, and after installing these extensions, we are going to create a template out of it, and then use the template to build another machine into the Azure. So to install the extension on a Azure VM, you have to go on the left hand side. You can see there's a option there, is called extensions and applications. So when you go to extension application, there are different options available. You can add an application, and depending upon your need, you can install any application on this machine, or you can install an extension. So let's install some sort of extensions. Let's say we want to add agent for Linux server monitoring. So it's called site 24/7 agent. So let's install it on this machine, but it requires a license. So if you actually installing a third-party software, you have to put some sort of license into it. So let's select instead of third-party agent, we can install, let's say, Azure AD based SSH login into our Linux machine. So let's install this extension into our Linux machine, and the deployment of our extension is initialized. So we are customizing our Linux machine as per our need, and then once it is customization is done, we will actually convert it into a template. Okay, so our extension deployment is completed now, and we have our VM up and running right now, as you can see. So our next step is to actually create a template. Okay, so to create the image template of a Linux or Windows virtual machine on Azure, you have to stop the VM first. So as you can see in our Azure portal environment, we have actually shut down our Linux server. It's completely shut down. So let's go to the Linux server right now, and here's the option to capture an image template of the Linux machine. So let's click on this one, and you have two options. You can actually capture this image in a managed image, or you can actually create an image template and then share to the Azure Compute Gallery. So we will select the first option. We will actually create the image template and share to an Azure Compute Gallery. And because we don't have any Compute Gallery right now, so let's create a new gallery here where we can store this image template. We will actually creating the image template based on two different options. This is actually options are related to the operating system state of the Azure VM which you're trying to create the image. It's very important that there are two type of image states are possible, that you can actually create a generalized image template, and you can also create a specialized image template. If you read it, the generalized image template are the VMs created from which means that if you create a generalized image template, the VMs which are going to be created from this image template will still require a host name, admin user, and other VM related setup to be completed when they are first booting. If you go with the specialized image template, then if you create the VM out of this specialized image template, they are completely configured and does not require any configuration at all, like host name or admin user and password. So in our case, because our intention is to have a generalized image template which can be used for deploying other VMs in future in our Azure environment, so we'll go with the generalized image template. And it requires a definition, so we can call it a new definition name Linux Ubuntu Linux okay, and okay, that's our definition. The version, you can call it 0.0.1, our first image template version. And the end of the life, this is very important. If you want to expire this image template or you want to keep forever. So let's say we want to expire it in next 3 years, so we can say 01/01/2028. So after 4 years it's going to be expired. We don't want to replicate, there's no replication requirement, but if you want to set up the replication, you can also replicate it from one region to another region. If you select this option, basically your image templates are going to be replicate as well. So I'm keeping it actually standard HDD LRS. I'm not going to replicate outside outside our region. So let's create our image template. So our image template creation process has been started. It's very important that when you initiate this process, the VM which you are actually creating the image template from is completely going to be unusable. As you have seen in the process of the video, we already have shut it down. But when you actually create a template from a VM, that VM will become completely unusable after the process. So it's very, very important that you have taken a backup if you want to take a backup before creation of this template process, that's highly advisable. Our image creation process still going on. We have to wait till this process is completed. Okay, so our image template creation is completed. Let's go to the resource, and as you can see, we have this image template version 0.0.1. It is actually stored in our gallery 1 and under the folder of Linux folder. So if this is basically our image template, and as you can see, let's go back to our virtual machines, and let's see what we have on the virtual machine side. So let's go back to our virtual machines, and as you can see, it is stopped and deallocated. Now at this stage, if you want to bring this up, it's not going to come up because it's actually converted into a template. So best way of doing it is you can just delete this VM because it's not required anymore and you cannot use it anymore. So we can say delete, and we have delete this VM. So once this VM is deleted, we will go back to our image template here, and we will actually create a VM. As you can see here, by using this template, you can even create a VM skill set as well. But we will just create the VM first and see how this image template creation works from this image template. So our VM is deleted. As you can see, there's no VM here, and now we have to go back to our image template, and using this image template we are going to create a new VM. I can call this VM as server 2. I don't require any availability, but if you want, you can put your own availability requirements as well. As you can see, it is using the image which is actually stored, which is a custom image which has our Apache server installed and our extension installed, and we are going to create a user with a password here. Okay, so we are going to create the password. I'll keep the upcoming incoming port open right now from the internet. Okay, and it's also asking about the licensing, but because we are using Ubuntu as in our demo, we don't require any license for the Ubuntu. So we are looks okay. Change the, as you can see, I can change it to standard HDD. Networking, we're going to deploy in the management subnet, and we are allowing the public internet inbound port, which is port 22. Else everything looks good. So we are going to deploy our first VM using our image template. So our deployment of our new VM using our custom image template has been started. So we'll wait for the deployment to complete, and then we will go back and check that that we have all the extensions and software which we have already installed in our custom image template are already there. And if this works successfully, then we should be able to get our web server up and running in the same way as it was up and running in the original VM. So I'm going to pause this video and come back once the deployment is finished. Okay, so our first VM using the image template has been deployed successfully. So let's go into the virtual machine and see our server 2 is up and running. As you can see, server 2 is up and running, and this server we have built using our custom image template. So let's go and check its public IP. As you can see, we get a new public IP here. And we also have to allow the public let's add port 80, allow the incoming port 80 port to this VM, so that we can test our web server. Okay, so we have added the incoming port or incoming traffic on port 80 to this public IP of this VM. Let's take this IP here and we just copy it here, and let's try to connect to this public IP of this VM, hopefully. And as you can see, the web server is up and running and is exactly giving the same test page which was given by the first or which was given on the original VM from where we have created this template. So essentially the concept of the template is working fine. You can deploy more than one VM. All the VMs will be identical with respect to the extensions, with respect to the security settings, with respect to the software which you have installed on your original template. So it's a very handy concept in Azure, and it can be used for both Linux and Windows VMs. So hopefully you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.